Well, let's get started. The fifth in our guide series. We'll pop into our guide save like we've done before. I think, Lucas, you said this has been helpful, so hopefully anyone else watching has found some good tips on this. So we'll get in, go to our wheel of interaction, and select orders, and we'll go straight to the 1996 Bolt Hornet and read the story here. So, good morning. Would you be able to help me? It's my first car. Apparently, this kiddo had a good dad. I'm just saying, he got a Corvette for his first car. It might not be that perfect car, but it's mine. I've always dreamed about one like this, so I finally managed to save some cash and I started looking immediately. It seems that I might have gotten a bit carried away. I heard that this doesn't bode well. The salesman said that the brakes needed repaired, but the rest is in perfect condition. This morning I heard banging in the back and it pulls to the right. I hope it's nothing serious. I'll borrow some cash if necessary, but I hope it's just the brakes. I can't wait to hit the road again. Please do a checkup and replace what you need. I'll see you later. Fix the parts, change and drain the oil. We've done this on every story car so far, so we all shouldn't remember how to do this. And then there'll be other tasks, which probably it's going to be replacing the fluids. So let's just go ahead and take this order. And like previous, we'll get the car in. Hey, let's just take a seat in this sweet Camaro. Another automatic. Does not look like it has the CD or the aftermarket. It's got the stock radio, but you know, she's a Camaro. All right. Let's check the car status. Go straight over to the phone. So we have brake pads all around. So this must have disc brakes at the front and disc brakes at the back. We'll replace the pads. And one almost full page here of undiscovered parts. Page 2 is completely undiscovered. And page 3 undiscovered. All right. Fix body parts. So we need to do the front bumper. We need to drain the oil and just put in some washer fluid. Well, that's easy. So how can we do the bumper? Just click on the body part, that removes it. Now, if we had our repair bench, we could actually probably repair this part. Well, actually we couldn't, it's below 5%. That's fine. So again, like we've done previously, let's go ahead and right click, add that to our shopping list, pull up our tablet, go straight to the bodywork station. The cars will be in alphabetical order, except for the cars that are in your garage. And you'll see this little icon on it that it's in your garage. So those will be the first car that they'll give you an option for. Pull that up, and the front bumper is the first option. It's also on our shopping list, but we'll just take it off the shopping list. Let's buy the front bumper and go to assemble mode off of our interaction wheel. And we'll put on the nice 100% bumper. And taking off the bumper, we pulled the headlights, so we'll replace those. And then we'll just check our car status, and we fixed the body panel that was broken. Easy peasy. And we'll pop the hood here. Got to be in normal mode to be able to pop the hood. Let's just put some fluid in the old windshield washer fluid. And again, just watch the bottle. The minute the bottle tips, let go of your click, and you've filled it up. Just like we're filling up on some Pepsi Max. All right. Car status. Other task is done. So we have a lot of stuff here that is not discovered. I would say the first place I would start, let's pop out here and go to examine mode. There are no parts identified other than the brake pads. Now, if you're trying to see the brake pads when you're in examine mode, you got to look down at the caliper and you'll see that little sliver of red. We know the brake pads are bad. If you were trying to, you know, if there was only one brake pad that was bad and you're trying to identify it, doing this could be helpful. All right, so we have nothing identified. Now we could start the examine mode where you have the mechanic look at the parts and identify the potential condition for those parts. But we're going to go to our additional tools first And we'll start with the onboard diagnostic tooler OBD reader. 500 Pro. It's scanning for us. 60%, 65. She's running. These code readers are really useful, like I've said before, for your own car. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 spark plugs that are screwed up, 5 spark plugs that are screwed up, and 1, 2, 3, 4 ignition coils that are all in the red. The rest of the spark plugs, the cat converter, ignition coils here, they look okay. The ECU is all right. Okay. Now I'm betting if we go to our parts list, yep, all the parts that were in red came up there. So we identified a lot there. Let's go back to our tools. Let's go to our compression tester. Compression test will test your pistons and your piston rings and tell us if we're going to be pulling heads on this thing to get to the pistons or not. If that bar means anything, it looks like it's got low compression. Hopefully not. Okay, so the pistons and the rings are fine, but we have a camshaft that's bad. Okay, we got one camshaft bad. Let's check the electronic multimeter. Check the electro digitals on this bad boy. Just apparently doing an ohms reading is what we're doing. Alright, so those all checked out okay. So all the fuses and relays are fine. And we'll check on the tires. Just eyeballing the tires, they looked fine, but that's why you have a tread tester. Okay, tires are good. And check the fuel system. With those spark plugs and those ignition coils being bad, I'm betting this car will not start. Because otherwise I'd like to take it to the test track. And we got a bad fuel rail too. Let's go to our car status. So we still have a couple pages of parts that we have not yet identified as screwed up parts. Okay. We know that from our customer's complaint that he said the brakes were bad. So if we'll probably pull the brakes and just look at them. And we can't see them real well here. Oh. Now what we could do, while we have the car here, is we can go into examine mode. And let's just examine it. And again, this is just, hey, and we leveled our mechanic up. That's cool. All I'm doing is I clicked on the engine and I'm holding down my left click right now. So this takes the mechanic's eyes and he starts looking at parts, and just being an experienced mechanic, he could say, well, by looking at this, I could say, well, this belt looks fine. And how many times can a mechanic pop a hood and just look at a belt and say, yeah, that belt's fine. It's not frayed. It's doing fine. So there's some things you can identify just by looking at it. Like let's say the coolant bottle right there, or the bottle for the power steering. Okay, we'll just look at it. Can't look at the radiator. Can I look at the air filter box? Yeah, you just pop the air filter and look at it. So it's going to tell us, yep, that looks fine. Can we look at the fuse box and the fuses? Sure. Can we look at the suspension cross member there? Yep, you can. Can we look at the suspension on the front right or front left, driver's side? You bet your bippy you can. Can we look at exhaust? Yep. And again, the way you do this, you just find the part you want to look at and examine it. Can I look at the rear suspension? Sure. So we could see right there the U-bolts on the back. 3 of them are bad. Looks like the spring supports there on that side were bad. So we got some new data just by examining these car parts, and we're leveling up a little bit too as we go. So that's good. Is there anything else we can examine here? I think we have examined everything. Oh, I forgot to do the drinker side front there. Okay, so that stuff has been examined. Great. Now, let's go back to normal mode, go to our car status, and we have identified a whole bunch of parts. There's just a few, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts we have not identified. And we know the brake system needs to be looked at. So let's go ahead and move this into our lift. We only have the one lift right now. And we'll pop this bad boy up in the air. And I think the first thing we're going to do, we know we have some suspension work to do. We got to drain the oil, so let's just go get our drain bin. Move that over to the car lift array. Let's get the oil draining. And we'll see if this is going to be a repeat of an oil filter that, and I'm pretty sure that oil filter is bad. Let's pull it. Go to car status, drain oil. We already drained it. Is the oil filter bad? Oil filter V8. All right, so we know we got to get a new oil filter, so we got that off. Good. Let's move our drain bin back. Interestingly, on my main save, I don't know how many hundreds of cars I have changed oils on. I have never drained the oil out of that bin. Apparently our janitor comes in at night and fixes that oil bin for us because that sucker is just loaded with oil. All right, that brake, we know the brake pad on this side's bad, not good. So let's pull that. The disc actually looks fine. But look at this wheel bearing. I think that wheel bearing is shot. Look at the rust on it. Let's go ahead and pull the wheel bearing. So we'll just take the cap off. Then I can get down in here and pull the wheel bearing. And I'm going to go to car status. Is the wheel bearing bad? I do not see it on the list. Front wheel hub. So the hub is what's looking so rusty here. All right, we'll get that off. Okay. You can always check our inventory here. Yeah, the wheel bearing was 79%. It was the front wheel hub that I was seeing that was so rusty. This bumper I'm just going to sell because we know we're not going to need that. I'm going to get brake pads. Just pull a bearing. See what this bearing looks like, or a rubber bushing looks like. That bushing's fine. Let's pull this bushing. Oh, I didn't mean to pull that. Now, sometimes I'll do that every once in a while. That's a good example. Where you remove a part that you didn't intend to, I'll just put it right back. Alright, let's take off this bushing. That was a bad bushing. Go to car status. I'm pretty sure rubber bushing is going to be on there, right? Yep, that one's bad. Okay. Pull the rubber bushing here. That one's bad too. It's just like the last story car we did with bad bushings. Let's check this one. Yep, there's 3 of the problems that came up. Yep, so we just have 3 more parts that we have yet to identify. Alright, let's get this wheel off. And spray. Some WD-40. Let's take the brake caliper off on this side. We know the brake pad was bad. That bearing looks fine. Everything here actually looks okay. Alright. Let's... That look okay? Yeah, she looks fine. Drive shaft looks good. And all I'm doing is kind of assessing everything kind of by how much rust you can visually see as you're working through your car. Get the rear wheels off. That'll squirt of the WD-40. Why are you putting so much emphasis on the W? I'm not sure. Pull the pad. That looks bad. Yep. That'll squirt a WD-40. Okay, got that off. And we have one bad U-bolt here. Then looking at that, this is the ones that we had examined. These spring caps, those we saw were red and bad. And I believe... Here, let's escape out for a second. Let's go back to that rear wheel. Go to our examine mode. Yeah, so we couldn't identify the rubber bushings here, but we know that support arm is bad. This support arm is okay, so we don't have to pull that. But let's just look at the bushing that's in it. See if that rubber bushing was bad. It is. Car status. So we only have 2 more parts to discover. Shock absorbers, they look okay. Was that parts that we could examine? We couldn't. No, don't want to return. We're going to go to normal mode. Sometimes I hit escape accidentally. Let's look at this shock absorber. I'm just going to pull it and see what percentage that is. Shock is fine. Okay. No tablet. Part mount. Shock was fine. Let's pull this wheel. Part unmount. Alright, so we know we're going to pull the brake pad at the very least. Let's get the caliper off first. And these U-bolts, actually, those were red. We know we're removing those. To get to this suspension piece, you have to take off the leaf spring plate. Then we have to get the rubber bushing out here, which I'm betting is going to be bad. Just check the inventory. Yep, that one's bad too. Now we're down to just one undiscovered part. Is there another bad piece on this side? Yeah, the wheel hub was bad. Okay. Off the spring, down to the spring cap. Okay, I think we have all the suspension pieces off that were bad. Right. So what I'll do is I'll go to inventory. I'm going to sort this by condition. I'm going to go condition with the arrow pointing up. So that way it puts all the red items at the top and all the good items down below. And then I'm just going to right click each of these parts, knowing that we have to go to the store and buy each of these red parts. I'm betting this spring cap needs to be replaced as well, and the brake pads. Okay. Rest of those are yellow parts, which are probably fine. So I'll hit T to get to my tablet, go back and home to the car parts shop. I need 3 leaf spring U-bolts. Take it off your shopping list. 5 rubber bushings. A V8 oil filter. Solid control arm. 2 spring caps. Wheel hub number 3. wheel hub for the front, a rear drive axle, and 4 brake pads. All right, so let's go to this side, driver's side, rear, and we'll start putting on the parts that we were able to purchase. The drive axle on this side was fine, so I'm going to put the average 74% one on this side. Brake discs are fine. Should have new brake pads. Then we can put on the old calipers. Get that solid control arm in, the leaf spring plate, and then should have new leaf spring U-bolts. There's 2 bolts on those. Now, I just know where those bolts are, so I didn't even bother moving my mechanic's head. But if you have trouble seeing, just move your mechanic around, and you can see the 2 bolts. Put on the rubber bushing. Slide over here, and place the wheel on. All right, that wheel is on. And let's get the spring cap on the driver's side. Then we can put on the old spring and the spring cap. And we'll click over to the drinker side. Put on that spring cap. And spring and spring cap. And the U-bolt. Nice new U-bolt. Both those bolts are attached. Then we can put on the drive axle. And the vented disc, or actually these are just solid discs, I think, on this side. Yep, not vented. Put on the new brake pad, and then throw on the old calipers. And we can put the wheel on. Now, I didn't double check, but you can see 235, 55, 16. The wheels are the same size in the front and the rear on this car, so we didn't have to really pay too close attention to remounting the wheels. Any of them would be fine. We'll just say we rotated the wheels, right? All right, let's move to the front here. Put on a new brake pad on the drinker side front. Hey, we can put that rubber bushing in. And we'll assemble the wheel on this side. And click here for that next rubber bushing. Nice 100% one. Click on the trans, steering arm. Click there. I think there was a rubber bushing. Yep, the 3rd rubber bushing we missed. Did we miss a rubber bushing in the back? We did. One on the control arm on the drinker side. Okay, now the rear was all the way done. I'm going to look to the front. There's a spot I can click. Front wheel hub. Put on the bearing. The vented disc brake for the front. Wheel hub cap. And a nice new brake pad. Then we can put on the old caliper. And throw on the wheel. So I think the suspension system and brakes have been addressed. Let's double check. So camshaft, clearly that's in the engine. Fuel rails in the ignition, or in the engine, excuse me. Ignition coils up in the engine. The oil filter we'll put on right now. Spark plugs are in the engine. Timing belts in the front. And then we have a part we have yet to discover yet. That's all right. I think the suspension system and brake system we've done a good visual inspection on. We have a general gist that we haven't missed any parts. Might have, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and part mount and put on the oil filter. Okay, that's on. Put this down out of the air. All right, so we know we got some issues with a camshaft. We're not sure which one. Camshafts are going to be, you know, obviously here. We have a fuel rail that's bad. Which one is it? Let's go to our examine mode. Okay, that's the fuel. So the driver side fuel rail is bad. Go to normal mode. And we can pull these caps so that we can see the ignition coils. And then we can kind of write down which one of them were bad. So it's the passenger side. We'll call that number 2. Ignition coil was bad. And on the driver's side, it's we'll call that 5 and 6 on the driver's side. Piston. The ignition coils were bad. Okay. Let's go ahead and pull these ignition coils. And pull the ignition coils on this side. Fuel rail is bad. We're going to pull that. Then I'm going to just pull, let's see if we can see the spark plugs in our examine mode. Yep, we can. So it's number 2 and 3 on the passenger side are red. On the driver's side, it is 1 or 5, 6, and 8. So spark plugs 5, 6, and 8 were bad. And on the passenger side, it was 2 and 3. And that probably correlates with our list that we had 5 bad spark plugs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Well, I'm just going to pull the 2 spark plugs on this side that were bad for now. And then it was 5, 6, and 8 that were bad. Let's just pull the ones that we know are bad for now. And then we'll take the head cover off and see if we can see the camshaft that's bad. Timing chain, we know we're going to have to take address too, so we'll get to the serpentine belts and the pulleys on the front of this engine to get down to the timing issue. Okay, there's the bad camshaft. I can see it right off the bat. It's this one that's bad. So I don't even think we're going to have to pull that one at all. But just to double check, I'm going to go to examine mode. Yep. And you can even see the timing belt is right there that's red. So that is the bad camshaft. Okay. So let's get this timing cover off so we can get to the timing belt. But to get down there, we have to remove the front of this, which is kind of harder to see when you can't pull the engine. So this is going to take some clicking around on different parts and then zooming in. So I can see here that this pulley can come off. Then I'll be able to pull this serpentine belt. I don't think we'll have to take the alternator off to get the timing cover off. There is a belt tensioner. Let's get that belt tensioner off. Then pull this serpentine belt. And we're going to have to pull the crankcase pulley. I don't know if we'll have to take the water pump off to get the timing cover off. We might. We might have to take off this engine head cover on the other side too to get to it. I think we will. So let's pull that cover off. Yeah, because that head cover bolts into the timing cover. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have to pull this. So I'm just preemptively doing that. There we go, that's pulled. Then we just got to pull all these pulleys. Of which there is a fair amount of pulleys. Ever get weird texts? It drives me insane. Especially when it's just spam. I don't know what you guys do, but I generally respond to spam text messages with some vulgar responses. It's not my best dad moment, honestly. I'm being honest, but they irritate me. I hate getting text messages anyway, but then when I get spam text messages, it just really, I'm going to be honest, it riles me up. I mean, I get fired up. Oh, man, here we go again. We did it a second time in our series. We removed a water pump without draining the coolant. Dang it. Drain your coolant, folks. Otherwise, you're going to penalize yourself. All right, so we can't pull the timing cover right now because what is in our way? We have a couple of pulleys that I forgot to pull. All right, now I should be able to take the timing cover off. Yep, now I can get it. Just a matter of finding the bolts holding the timing cover. Okay. There's one bolt. 2 bolts. Sometimes it just takes a matter of zooming and finding your bolts. Especially on these timing covers. Sometimes they're just... There they go. Okay, so that's that. And I'm going to escape out for a second and just go into examine mode. So both timing belts were bad right there. You see that? So we had to pull both covers. All right, let's get those timing belts off. Then we're going to get this camshaft out. Okay, so we should have most of the engine compartment issues pulled that we have to replace and deal with, right? So we have a camshaft, spark plug, fuel rail. Some of these parts we've obviously already replaced, so I'm not adding those to our shopping list. Spark plugs, timing belt, ignition coil. And the rest of this is fine. Let's go to our shopping store. Brake pads we've already addressed. Camshaft. Fuel rail. Timing belts. We need 2. And then we have to go to our electronics shop to get 5 spark plugs. And 3 ignition coils. All right, and then we'll go to part mount. Put on our nice new timing belt. And our nice new camshaft. Cam gear. The other timing belt. And since we're here and we can see them easy, let's go ahead and put the spark plugs in. We didn't take out the other spark plugs, so we don't really have to remember the ones that we had removed that were poor. put on the fuel rail because we can do that easily right now too. Then we could put on our timing cover and attach bolts. Okay, and we'll start putting our pulleys and idler rollers back in. And what I'm doing here is I'm just looking at it from this side view. So I find this easy to see the bolts to at least get them started up here. Put on our idler roller. The water pump on that we forgot to drain the coolant for. I have to nickname this guide series, Remember to Drain Your Coolant. Serpentine belt, belt tensioner, another idler roller, another serpentine belt, and the last idler roller pulley. All right, so that's back together. Let's put on the engine cover A. And what I'll do when there's multiple bolts in a line like this, I just hold my left click down and then slowly move my mouse as each bolt gets done, and then you'll get right into attaching the next bolt. So ignition coils, it was number 2 and 3, or 2, 5, and 6. So 5, this is what I named 5, this is what I named 6. That means 7 and 8, I can put one of the 70% coils in. Okay, and then I can put that cover on, coil cover. Let's go over to this side, and we'll do the same procedure here. Tack down our bolts for our engine head cover. And it was number 2 and on this side that was bad. So that means number 1 will get a 77%, 2 will get the 100% one, 3 gets a 73, and 4 will give it a 71. All right, then let's just go to our car status. Page 1, including the ignition coils, satisfied. Bushings, spark plugs, satisfied. We have one part we have yet to identify. We have to change the, we already put in the new oil filter. So we can go ahead and put our oil in. We'll remove the drain cap. So if you're wondering why you can't add oil, you have to remove the drain or the oil fill cap. That allows you the option to add oil. Just like we're removing the cap for the coolant that we forgot to drain. Silly me. Okay, coolant's in. Right, so now this vehicle, it should start, it should run. So there's a part we have yet to identify as broken. So let's just do this. Let's go to the test track. We'll take this, the wheels are not aligned, which is okay. We don't have a wheel alignment shop yet anywho, so we can't align it. All right, on the brake, on the gas. Second gear. Go through the turns here. Sometimes if I'm driving for performance purposes, I won't use the keyboard. I'll plug in my Xbox controller. It's a little easier to drive with that versus WASD in my opinion. Stop on the red. All right, so we did our test path. And it should identify some other suspension or potential brake issues that we might have missed through our examination and diagnostic tools. Hey, and we did miss a rubber bushing somewhere, so that's going to be the last part that we missed, I'm betting. Yep, one rubber bushing. So let's go to examine mode and identify where that rubber bushing was at. Because it's going to be red. There it is, right there. And that front lower control arm or lower suspension arm, I think is the proper name for it. So we'll have to pull the wheel on that side to get to this. So we'll pop it up in the air, click the wheel, remove your wheel, and then we can get to the lower suspension arm. Pop it off. Oop, that one's rusty. That bolt is rusty. Okay, so then we're going to go to our shop, and just to be on the safe side, because when you put the new parts into that suspension arm, there's 2 rubber bushings and a small rubber bushing. I'm going to buy just 2 regular rubber bushings and replace both of them, because I'm not sure if I can remember which rubber bushing was the bad one and which one was the 77% one. Otherwise, I might put it in the wrong order. So I'll just replace both of them. So lower suspension arm, 100%, 100%. Just so that we don't get messed up. Cost us an extra $8. Save you some headache. Pop the wheel back on. And let's check our car status. So brakes, all done, oil done, washer fluid done. We have solved this guy's problem in his first car, his Chevy Camaro. We're going to finish the order. All right, and we leveled up to 10. And we got a case. So let's pop the case. I think I did 1 and 2 last time to start, so let's do 3 and 4. Hey, we got a bonus case. Let's open it. Let's go to 5 and 1. A barn map and a bonus case. Let's go to 2, 3, a barn map, and $400. So that's excellent. So we got 2 barn maps added to our list. We're going to save the game. Now, here is a tip. How can you get scrap? So later in the game, I use scrap to upgrade performance parts to 3-star version of those performance parts. We obviously got a little bit of scrap, right? 196. You can get that later in the game from scrapping your junk parts. Now, right now, here's all the parts we took off that last car. What are we going to do with them? Let's just sell them all. We'll sell everything below 80%. Okay. Now, if we had our scrap bench set up, which actually ends up being in the back here in this storage shed, which is where you'll be able to scrap parts. Anyway, that gives you the blue scrap material. Now, how else can you get scrap? It's from chests. How do you get chests? Every barn you go to, there'll be stacks of parts you can look at and potentially buy, plus cars you can potentially buy. Get the cases at the barns, open the cases, find the scrap. That's the best way to get scrap. That's the tip of the day right there. But we did level up to 10, so let's check we have 6 available skill points. This gives you the ability to inspect the value of a car. Now, we just unlocked barns. We have junkyards unlocked. It's going to be important to know the value of these cars. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock that. That gives us the option to actually look at a car, know its value, know if the value of the car is better than what the person is selling us the car for. So that'll be a good way to make some cash. And this is going to cost us 5 to get another discount at the shop. We only have 2 skill points. This costs us 3, this costs us 3. I'm actually going to just hang on to our skill points for now, because I'd want to get this next, the regular customer. the discount. Save the game. So I think this is going to be a good spot to close down video number 5. We did the 5th story car. We got our mechanic up to level 10. We're at 10K. We have unlocked the ability to go to barns. We've unlocked junkyards. We haven't been to either of those yet. We've done one customer car, so we're moving along pretty well. And another tip of the day, other than how to get scrap, drain your coolant before you pull your water pump. Don't get fined. No, not good. So we'll save the game. Thank you guys for your attention. This was fun, and I'll be looking to film number 6. Oh, we should preview the car. What's the car going to be? It's a 2016 Salem GW 500. That's a, what is that, a Ford Focus? But again, apparently we didn't pay to Ford to get us the name for this car. That's fine. All right. Thank you for watching. We're going to shut this one down.